I don't care what it says. We're live. Even though I don't care what Facebook says. We're going live. Hi, we're live.
Hello,
I'm Lynn Serrano.
and I'm Brian.
And we'll be right back after this, if I know where I'm at. Welcome back, Brian. How are you?
Busy.
Busy boy. And this is a great topic. Then we got a comment today from from a listener here, and I'll have Brian read that. When it I'm gonna stop it from being a ticker real quick so that he can read it. Stop scrolling.
I don't know what I'm reading.
Yeah,
Oh.
I fixed it so you could read it.
When you miss and appreciate people in your life, when you get busy and have no time to spend with them, how do you handle it or make it work? I think it needs to be broken down. Are we talking everyday life or something more specific? Because my mind read it different than what the context of it was. So
Okay, well, first of all, hi Michelle.
Michelle's here. Hey,
You
Michelle.
did get us live. Yes. Well, the listener gave it to me really quick because they didn't have detail. I said, I don't know what we're going to talk about today. And so they gave it to real quick details and they want to go anonymous. But there was a lot of different ways that the topic could go. But the gist is that we get busy with everyday life. And sometimes with the minutia of being busy and not having the time to spend quality time, that how do we make time to make sure that we're spending time with our loved ones, and what are some of the things, you being like a busy person, what as us both being busy, what can we do, or what are some suggestions, and how do you handle it?
I wrote down a couple questions, and they're all internalization questions because we've all been through significant life challenges and crises, but you need to take it on yourself, right? Now, obviously, if it's something emotional, like somebody terminally ill or whatever, but it's still on you, right? I think emotion and feelings can get in the way of what it really is, and I'm not a hypocrite. I don't want to be a hypocrite to say, but it's like there's been people that I've got into a rut of not going to see them, and then all of a sudden they're terminally ill and they pass away, right? But at the same time, it's like, okay, what is busy's just the cover, busy's just the ploy, busy doing what? Are you productive or busy? Because you could be busy doing, folding socks or whatever it is, but it doesn't mean you're productive on the things that are going to change your life or help others, right? Busy's just a cover, and so that's why what you tell yourself is what it becomes, so like everything within that, and how it was phrased, with how from the listener is based on what you're going to do. Like, are you limiting yourself just by how it's being phrased or what you're telling yourself? Right. It's like, because it's like, okay, I'm busy. Great. Now what? What's next? Right. Instead of saying, it's like, I'm busy. Okay. Right. Well, do they make airplanes now where you can drive there or fly there or whatever? Right. What efforts are you making to make it happen versus like, just sit at the excuse and not look past it? What's getting in the way? What meaning are you attaching to this of why you can't do it? Right? Because anything is possible. I'm a firm believer in that. Anything is possible. But if you're going to live by the front of it, well, then it's going to make it very difficult. Michelle says, make the best out of the moments you do get. I'm right there with you. Life is busy, but it comes down to priorities, where it's like, may it be difficult to get into a habit of going to see people, like if you run all your errands or you chunk your time or you run errands and you go see people or whatever. Might it be difficult? Sure. But once you get into the routine of doing it, then it's going to be rewarded with your time.
Right.
It's almost like you allocate a whole day of the week to just go around and see people. And I never realized that, but that's exactly what my dad did. I was so immersed in my own stuff when I was younger, and I didn't even know why my dad did it, because there's no measurables. My dad just did it to be with people, right? And so I think the first question you need to ask yourself is, what meaning are you attaching to it? What is really busy that you're holding on to, as if, like, if somebody was to take a little pin and have that be your balloon. How are they going to bust your bubble?
Yeah.
How are they going to bust your balloon? Because if it was that important, you get it done. If it
Yeah.
was that important, and obviously, hypothetically, every situation is different. But
Yeah.
it's like if somebody's terminally ill and they went very, very fast, okay, you might not be able to do that. But it's like if you've known about this for any amount of time, you know, what did you do? And if you did nothing, were you content with doing nothing?
Yeah. I like you many points that you put in there, but that's why like I like to go to New York and spend time that I do. And I look at it this way. I tell people exactly when I'm going to be there. And if
Yeah,
when I make the time to be there, I'm not gonna tell you 2 or 3 times when Imma be there. If you made the time, I mean, I went how many 2,000 miles to go there, right?
right,
And if I have to call you and tell you that I'm gonna be there,
right,
and you don't make the I gosh, I'm more than crossed the line to
mhm,
be where I need to be, and I'm not gonna do any more than that. And then, that's fine. So I spend the time, quality time with the people that make the time and, and I mean, my goodness, you were busy as heck, but you made the time to meet me where I was at,
right.
and that's where you do what you can and then you take it from there, you
Well, and
know?
I think even in the wording in this, now obviously, some people might be semantics or whatever, but the use of language is everything, right? In
Right,
terms of interpretations, but it could also be give you a different point of view. But it's
right.
like have no time. Who's
Yeah.
telling you that? Is
Right,
the
right,
world telling you that, or are you telling yourself that? And
right.
hopefully the other people will go along with that,
Right.
right?
Well, and I know that some people have themselves in a position where they feel like they've gotta keep, what the life that they made, and they decide to keep that time,
Hmm.
and then they're just putting their time in where they're at
Right,
until that time, and the next chapter moves on and stuff. But, some people feel like that, well, this is the commitment I made or whatever they're doing.
right,
But, it's funny that people entrap themselves in whatever position they're in,
right,
and they feel like, well, this is what I gotta do do because it's the right thing to do and
right.
whatever.
Well,
So, I mean, we
and
limit ourselves in our thoughts.
we limit
And
ourselves in our thoughts, but then also though it's just like we just hope that somebody doesn't call us out on our crap,
yeah,
you
and
know?
then we live in our BS regrets because we're like, "Oh, we gotta call this person." We never call that person. We don't call this person because it's gonna offend this person or all this, family drama or this or that. And it really is sad when we allow somebody else to manipulate what we wanna do,
Right.
and then we
Well,
have these regrets.
well, and as human beings, we're meaning making machines. So we do everything possible to resist in doing the action that we need to do because
Yeah,
we have it all in our brain about how it's going to go,
yeah,
but we haven't even pick up the phone.
right,
Even also though the wording in here that stands out is spend. Okay,
yeah,
if you perceive that you're just spending your time, okay, how about investing your time?
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean? Now it might just be a word change,
right.
but to me, those words mean a lot.
Right.
You
Well,
know?
I just appreciate some viewer just gave us just some quick thoughts. And I was like, we can play on this topic,
Right.
right now. And maybe after they watch this, they'll say, well, this is what I meant or whatever. And that's great. But I mean, I thought that there's still a lot of people
Yeah.
think about this and they think, oh, busy or this and that. And like you said, busy is an excuse for
Oh yeah.
saying it's just an excuse. The word busy
Right.
is an excuse
Well.
because whatever really matters, we always find time.
Oh yeah.
We always find time for what we really want.
Well,
I
and it's to kind of quote Jeffrey Gitomer, don't tell me what you can't do, tell me what you can do.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's like, okay, how many times when a situation comes like this is that people go, oh, I can't.
yeah,
Why don't you tell me what's available? Let's
yeah.
put it out there in terms of what you can do.
Well,
And then even on top of what I can do, let's get granular and specific with what that is, when it is, and how it is.
yeah. Well, lately I've been so guilty about I've been doing so much studying, I'm not gonna lie, nothing's gotten done. I've been just studying and I'm like, where did I put freaking 55 hours of studying? Nothing else is getting done.
Right.
Nothing else is getting done. It's ridiculous. And I've been really bad about getting a hold of my kids, doing everything else and getting other stuff done. I've been singularly focused and I've been bad about that, you know. But we're all guilty of being busy doing something. I guess it's the excuse, I'm gonna put the the word busy in there, but it is a piss poor word. But we all have the same 24-hour period in the day, right?
Right.
And when we're choosing what we want to put in that 24-hour period.
Well, and it's
But
what are
things do lack.
when you look at this, look at what are you committing to in this
Yeah.
situation?
Yeah.
What are you declaring?
Yeah.
Good, bad, or other?
Yeah.
But because here's the thing, it's like it's kind of like something that's nagging on your list that you think that you should do, and then it's like, okay, number one, you resist it forever. It only upsets you every time you look at it, and then when you actually finally do it, you're like, whoa. After I overcame all the meaning I was attaching to it every time I think about it, and when I actually did it, it's like, wow, that wasn't so bad. Or
Yeah.
when you hold yourself accountable to something that you don't want to be held accountable to, but the other person is holding you accountable to it, it upsets you because you're really full of it when you declared it, right? And
Yeah.
we're all guilty of that. We're human beings, right?
Yeah.
But it's like when it's like, so when do you want me to call you next, right? They're doing a CTA, a call to action. And then it's like you ignore their call or like, why is this person calling me? It's like, well, you declared with your own language that you want them to call you.
Yeah.
How can you get mad at somebody for doing what they said you wanted them to do?
Damn if you do and damn if you don't,
Right.
right? Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and so it's kind of like in a situation where somebody's terminally ill. Maybe you can't afford to travel to them or you can't get off of work or whatever it is. You can still set up a Zoom call. Zoom gives you 40 minutes free. You can do
Yeah.
FaceTime. There's a lot of things you can do, but the
Yeah.
minute that you cut it off of what you can't do, then all creativity goes away. All of
Yeah.
it.
That's true.
There is always something that you can do no matter the situation. There's
Yeah.
always something you can do. Like somebody's terminally ill, and I know this from experience, is that it kind of makes me nauseate a little bit when when you're consoling and this is just observation, right? Psychologically.
Yeah.
But when somebody's grieving for the loss of a loved one, and when somebody says, well, if there's anything I can do, that upsets me. It does because it's like they're not in the frame of mind to even consider that. And
I,
it's like a better way of approaching would be like, okay, here are sandwiches. Hey
Hi,
James,
James. Nice to
here are
see you on here.
here's a whole bunch of food for the next week, and it's
What,
all ready for you, fresh from the deli. Because one of the things I know is that you're probably not going to eat a lot when you're grieving.
what's Glenn Morshower say to us? Hey, do you want to go wash my car? Do you want to go do this, and that? Because you really, you don't want to do what I'm going to ask you to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's I just had to share that because
Yeah.
that I've
Right.
witnessed a lot of this lately, and it just kind of upsets me because it's just a waste on words. It's kind of
Yeah.
like instead of saying nothing, it's like, well, if there's anything I could stop.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
number one,
You
how
don't
many times?
even mean that. You really don't
Right.
mean that because it's bullshit.
Well, and how many times is everybody else saying that? So
Yeah.
you're just saying something that is the same as
Yeah.
everybody else versus
Well,
going a
and
little
that's,
deeper.
I usually say, thoughts and prayers, but I also always say, I mean, especially when my mom died, it's like when people say I'm sorry, it's like when you say you're sorry, it's like you're sorry for something or sorry don't fix things,
No.
to me. It's like sorry don't fix this, it's like and you probably felt like that when people said I'm sorry when your dad died, right? It's like I don't want to hear I'm sorry. It just that just doesn't work for me. So to me it was like I wish I had the words that could make this better, and no words can make you feel better when you feel like shit
Right.
losing somebody. So
Well,
so again there
these
and
are this and thank you to the listener
yeah,
who
exactly.
shared this topic is that it's a great one, but there's always something you can do.
Right, right.
Busy
And
does
then
not mean even the people that are the most handicapped in the world still do not use their disability. Some do, right?
yeah.
But any high achiever that has disabilities still doesn't let that get in the way of what they're committed to.
Right. Well, I will say this about the listener that said this is the most important thing to do is to talk about it and to
Oh yeah,
know that there is a problem and to
right,
communicate that. That's huge. That's huge. That's talking about the elephant in the room.
right.
And Michelle says,
So I'm guilty of that. I've always have a loss as to what to say. I'm there and willing to be in your help in any way I can. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that that's not an uncommon point of view.
I mean,
Also,
because we
though,
don't know what to say. That's true,
right.
you know?
Well, and it's like if you're at a loss for words to say, make somebody a plate of cookies. Use your zone of genius, right?
Yeah.
Jody said, "I'm glad I caught you today." Use your zone of genius or be in action with something. You know, if you knew that person at all, what is their favorite flowers, right? What is
Yeah.
a donation to their favorite cause? You know,
Yeah.
whatever that is, it's instead of talking about it, do it,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And that's going to mean more to them than just a play on words,
Right,
you
right.
know, or they hear, when they're in the line after the ceremony, they get hugs and, pleasantries for 300 people, and how much of that is just kind of ordinary
Yeah,
versus something that is really,
actions.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I've
No
just
lip
learned that
service.
from going through this a lot, but this is only one type of that, of
Yeah,
busyness, right?
yeah.
What are you busy doing? Nonsense or
Mm.
things that are going to impact your world and those around you?
Yep. That's
But there's always actions you can take. There is
it's just
always
like
something you can do.
I find, like, GoFundMe things, right?
Right.
I don't wanna pay the fee for GoFundMe. I
Right.
always find out, "Do you have a Venmo? Do you have a PayPal?" Because
Well,
I
and I,
literally love sending them money directly, if a singly, because even though they charge for tax purposes, anything under $600 is gonna be under the radar for
right.
them. So, it's like, if you wanna help that person and then, like, oh, back in 2001, we had a house fire, and I had a business here locally. People knew I had a house fire. They were saying that we had no house insurance, which was BS, and people were donating the Red Cross. I
Wow.
called the Red Cross and said, "Uh, what do you do with donations if they were directly me?" "Oh, it goes to a general pool fund." Which they do a great thing. They do come by and they give a little Ziploc with toothpaste and all that stuff. I think that's great. But I had insurance. I think it's great, that because they said my name, that, they were giving donation. I think that's great. But what I'm sad is that if somebody wants to help a particular person, they're not helping that particular person. It's a general pool fund, and, you know, 25% is administrative and only 30% goes to the cause.
Yeah.
And so since then, I'm not being salty or whatever. Don't send me fan hate mail here, but I'm just being honest. If you sincerely want to help a person, send it directly to them.
Right. I uh, I have an issue with some of that kind of stuff too, not because of the gesture
Oh,
or the medium. I mean, that is what it is.
right,
That's
right.
the world that we live
They
in.
gotta pay the bills.
But
I
I
get
but
that.
I do have a problem with people that are just blasting this out, and it's like I don't know this person.
Right,
And if I don't know them, and I get it, not,
right,
some
right.
people are more philanthropic than others, but it's like if I don't know this person,
Yeah,
it'll be perceived like a sales proposition pretty
right,
quick.
right.
Like now I need to make a donation, or you need to make me feel guilty because this person is going through X.
Yeah, no. And I'll tell you what, it was like one time my brother, when he passed away, he thought he was all set through the military and he was wrong. And we had a GoFundMe for his funeral because they wouldn't touch him till we had everything paid for. He
Wow.
thought everything was paid for, and long story short, I had a couple friends help us out, and that was really amazing for his funeral.
Mhm.
And but it's one of those things. But again, they sent it directly to, help out the funeral costs and stuff, and that was great. But
Right.
again, it's one of those things that the topic here, as far as, just remember, we all have an expiration date. And if people matter to you, send them a text, send them a DoorDash something, or surprise them at work with something. Just do little things that, to make those memories and appreciate. And if you're upset with somebody, communicate with them. Just have that line, because it's the petty things that keep great relationships that crumble. And that's really sad to see. And we've got to stop that from happening, especially when you have politics or things going on. It's not worth losing a relationship. And then what happens, it just,
Well,
it's not worth it.
and in my brain, there's a correlation here. The simpler you make this without meaning, attachment, or emotion, the easier it will be for you to see a clear path to do something.
Yeah.
But the more convoluted, complex, and just I don't know, just very convoluted and just very murky,
Yeah.
you're not gonna have a clear path about what to do, and then that gives you a greater ability to have an excuse.
And can we just say that if you just it boils down to this, and you being in the wedding industry, let's not forget, and I know the industry I come from, I always ask and tell people, I stop all the crap by saying, "How did you guys meet?"
Hmm.
And that ignites something in people. When people remember how they met and why they love each other,
Hmm.
nothing else matters at the end of the day, does it, Brian? When
No,
they realize how much they love each other, it just all that other stuff, all that drama doesn't mean anything.
right. Well, and what gets in the way, and I know this show's not about weddings, but what gets in the way is the meaning of everybody that's asked about it, or when you bring in points of view and all of that, versus like, okay, it's not 100 things why you're doing this, because you can get
Mm,
married for $100 in most states, right?
yeah.
But it's the maybe keeping up with the Joneses, or maybe there's this visual that you had about the wedding experience you wanted, whatever that is. It's like, okay, you don't have to have this big ordeal, you don't have to make all these decisions. Oh, but we want to. Oh, so it's the experience you want to have. It's the until you dig down deeper, you don't find what that really is, what their motivation is for putting something on, when it can be so simple you
But
know
isn't it the love that you see that just excites you, Brian? That just the love that you see within that couple that just
it's their vulnerability to talk to somebody where they don't know if they can help them or not.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, where somebody can actually do something with this, instead of letting another wedding go by, where when guests leave, they don't really know much more about you than when they got there, or maybe over the previous years that you've been friends with them. It's
And
a very
wedding
sad thing to me,
yeah.
when I ask that question of prospective customers, the weddings that they've been to, because I don't believe in just the run of the mill basic questions that everybody asks, because there's no
Yeah.
access in those for me anyways. Is So what was presented throughout the wedding day, where you felt closer to them, or you knew them better than when you got there? And a lot of
Well,
times they go silent. There's not really anything that stood out that was specific or personal to them, or done in such a way that was not general, right? Where you're just going through the motions, or this happens after this, or that goes after that. It was just kind of the process, if you will.
yeah, and that's the thing. I've chosen to only go to weddings where I saw people were truly in love, and I sold people stuff
Yeah.
for intimate times in the relationship. And if I didn't feel like they were not a couple that were very into being in love, I didn't go to their wedding. Seriously.
Right.
So some of those that are watching, they'll know why I didn't go to their wedding. I'm serious. I'm like, man, you don't belong together. I mean, I seriously. And so I think it's really important that that you got to have that connection. You got to have that spark.
Well, and
So,
if you don't, if yeah,
yeah.
been there, Lynn. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you don't, and that's that I talk to people all the time, and one of my basic questions that I ask, or one of the most basic things that I say to somebody is like, I don't know if I can help you.
Yeah.
Or if somebody says, well, what's my wedding going to look like? I'm like, I have no idea.
Yes, you're not helping me here.
I don't know what it is, because we haven't created it yet.
Yeah.
We haven't even decided if we want to work together, if we're even right for each other. But
Right.
I can tell you what, every step of the process, you're going to be excited about how you feel about it,
Yeah.
because it's not done on forms or piece of paper. It's done
Well,
by communicating with one another.
and I say, and I I could say you can say this to them because this is what you're only as good as they make you as good, because
Yeah,
the reason being is you can't see how excited they are about their wedding and their relationship. How excited can you be for them if they're not even excited
yeah.
for
That,
themselves? Hello?
well, and that kind of goes back to, like, I cannot help you create this extraordinary experience without you involved in it.
It's like, okay, you said I do. Now go be happy. Go be married. What? Go fly, be free.
It's kind of like meeting with a couple that and not I'm not singling anybody out, that's far from it. But it's like, when I come and I want to really learn about you. And I know some of the questions I ask are very like, wow, I've never been asked that before, or whatever, right? But it's like when you have not even like thought about it, like your emotions, your feelings, your like looking at your wedding from a micro and a macro standpoint. It's like to me, these are basics because if you haven't thought about your wedding and I'm more excited than you are, where does that place me? And you're the ones that are getting married, not
It's
myself.
the wife goes to the guy, I think I'm marrying the wrong guy.
Yeah. No comment. No comment.
I think we should end on this note.
You think?
Yeah, I think so.
So
I
since
gotta I gotta find me a Brian somewhere.
don't
That's
look
what
here.
I'm talking about the brides thinking that. Shit, this guy's
So
really
since you came up with the topic, Lynn, any final thoughts on this?
yeah, I do think it's really important to stay connected and be ignited and the people that you love and you miss and let them know that they mean something to you and that you love them and when you have that feeling and thinking about them, let them know that. It's
Mhm.
really important. I mean, because they may be thinking about you too.
Right.
So, if you got that connection, keep that connection because they don't
Mhm.
come around. They're just, you got that connection for a reason. So,
Right.
but anyhow, it's always good to play on words and have
Oh yeah.
conversation with you, Brian, because it's always good. So,
Oh, and by the way,
oh,
so
Michelle, I love
I
you.
miss
I'm
you
so
guys. Yeah,
glad.
me
And
too.
Michelle, throw some bones at us for topics. We'll take them and play with it too.
Yeah, for everybody that's watching, for as much as we might have it all together and might be in the moment or whatever. Sometimes our brains are a little bit tired or focused on other things, and topics don't necessarily just come to us. So uh, I think all creative beings are that way. And so if there's any topics that you want us to talk about or have a question that you want us to think about for a short period of time, 15 to 20 minutes or a little bit longer, let us know what those are because it makes it easier for us to try to rack our brain and hear the wheels turning and all that. So
Yeah. And this is like we're in our third year. So, this is but we love it. We're not complaining. We just love
no.
it. We just love we like putting our passionate heads and thoughts in these topics and flying with it. So,
Mhm.
and it's unscripted. So, you
Yeah.
giving us a topic and unscripted like that makes us be more original and real and raw with you. So,
Well, and plus, I mean, it creates for sound bites because that's how we think, and that's how I think we access our information these
yeah.
days in small little sound bites. Like, I
Yeah.
need something right now that'll get me from here to there or help me overcome what I'm dealing with.
Absolutely. So as always, Brian's a busy guy and he takes time to do this with us. So Brian, I love you very much.
Love you too.
All
Glad to
right.
be here
All
every week.
right. You guys have a good one. We'll see you next week live. Okay.
Bye,
Bye-bye,
everyone.
guys.
Thanks for being here.
See ya.